Before the college entrance exam, my homeroom teacher asked me to purchase exam supplies for everyone. I chose well-known brands for the 2B pencils and black gel pens, and tested each set beforehand. As soon as the list was posted in the parents group, the mother of a sports student sent a string of sneering emojis. 18 yuan for a set of stationery. Do you think we've never bought pens before? At 18, daring to make money from writing, what will she be capable of later? She directly started a vote. Whether to revoke Wen Li's qualification to order stationery. Most parents clicked agree. The sports student's mother said smugly, my relative wholesale stationery, a set for 5 yuan, guaranteed to work just as well. But on the day of the college entrance exam, those substandard 2B pencils left marks too light on the answer sheet, causing the machine's presscan to show widespread anomalies. I had already finished, but over a dozen classmates in the class were still repeatedly filling in their answers. That day, the exam was English. The objective questions carried a heavy weight in scoring. As soon as the answer sheets were handed out, the proctor reminded everyone, fill in with a 2B pencil. Answer with a black pendant, use cheap pens. A rustling sound of rummaging through pencil cases filled the exam room. Shen Zhaoshuang sat diagonally in front of me and turned back to glance at me. Her face already pale. The pencil in her hand had the crooked words exam use only printed on it, and the rough wooden edges pricked her fingertips. It was part of the 5 yuan stationery set that Zheng Manqiu had bought for everyone. After the exam bell rang, I didn't look her way again. The listening test begins. And a steady female voice reads out the questions through the headphones. But the sound of pencils in the exam hall grows increasingly urgent. It's not the normal rustling of filling in bubbles, it's the sound of someone repeatedly pressing harder, scraping back and forth across the paper. The invigilator walks to the back row and lowers her voice, don't keep rubbing it out, if you wear through the answer sheet, you can't get a replacement. No one dared to stop, because the color that pencil left behind was as pale as ash. After the listening test ended, the proctor came in pushing a portable scanner. This year, the city requires test centers to provide on-site reminders about the proper filling of objective answer sheets, without scoring, only scanning for anomalies. When it was our exam room's turn, the machine beeped over a dozen times in a row. Red lights lit up one after another. Filled too lightly. The filled area is incomplete. Suspected excessive erasure marks. The invigilator's face darkened. These students. Use the remaining time to fill in properly, and be careful not to affect the subjective questions. In an instant, the breathing of more than a dozen people became erratic. Su Qingxiao sat in the last row, the veins on the back of his hand bulging as he pressed down on the answer sheet, making it rustle. He was Zheng Manqiu's son. The son of that sports student mother who once sent voice messages laughing at me in the parent group was now using the pencil she bought to shade the same option until the paper gleamed. Shen Zhaoshuang's tears fell onto the answer sheet, and she hurriedly wiped them away with her sleeve. The invigilator immediately approached. Don't touch the answer area. She froze in place, her lips trembling violently. I've finished checking my essay. And there are still 21 minutes left before I have to hand it in. The tip of my pen hovers over the draft paper. For the first time, I feel that silence is more torturous than noise. Someone behind me is quietly breaking down. Why can't it still scan? The proctor warned sternly. Talking is prohibited in the examination hall. The person immediately shut up, but their shoulders trembled uncontrollably. When the bell rang for submitting the paper, Su Qingxiao was still filling in the last row of multiple-choice questions. The invigilator walked over to collect the exam paper, and he suddenly pressed down on his answer sheet. Teacher, give me 10 more seconds. Hand in your paper. I'm almost there. The invigilator did not back down. The two teachers together took away his answer sheet. Su Qingxiao stood up, his chair hitting the ground with a harsh screech. Everyone in the exam hall was watching him. His eyes were terrifyingly red, but in the end, he could only stare at me intently. As if that pen had been forced into his hand by me. When we left the exam hall, the corridor was packed with students. Shen Zhaoshuang grabbed my sleeve, his fingertips ice cold. Wenli, am I finished? That sentence pierced my throat like a needle. Before I could answer, Su Qingxiao rushed over from behind and shoved her aside. Are you satisfied now? The wind at the stairwell blew his sweat-dampened hair across his forehead. You knew there was something wrong with that score. So why didn't you stop it? Everyone came to a halt. The stairwell was crowded with students who had just finished their exams, the muffled sounds of crying and the rustling of pages blending together. I looked at Su Qingxiao. I tried to stop it. He let out a cold laugh. What did you stop? You just wanted to prove my mom was wrong. Didn't you? This sentence was like igniting a fire. Several classmates gradually gathered around. Someone's pencil was also bought by Zheng Manqiu. Someone's answer sheet was also flagged as abnormal by the machine. A girl I usually get along with well spoke with red-rimmed eyes, Wenli. Why didn't you emphasize how serious it was in the group chat back then? Shen Zhaoshuang grew anxious. She did say it. She posted the pencil test results and warned everyone not to use unverified ones. The girl immediately burst into tears, but she's the class monitor. Couldn't she have held on a little longer? A surge of grievance rose in my chest, and I bit the tip of my tongue to keep myself from losing composure. Outside the college entrance exam hall, no one was willing to admit they had made the wrong choice. No one is willing to admit that their own parents, just to save $13, shoved the risk right into their child's hands. Su Qingxiao stared at me, his voice growing harsher and more suppressed. You use good pens yourself. And you're happy watching us get into trouble? I use stationery I bought myself. So why didn't you buy one for us too? This absurdity made me laugh. But before the laughter could escape, the homeroom teacher Cin Qingyue hurried down from upstairs. When she saw the crowd gathered in a circle, her expression changed. Everyone disperse. There's still an exam this afternoon, so no one should be causing trouble here. Su Qingxiao turned his head and shouted, Teacher Cin. Wenli knew full well that low-quality pens wouldn't scan properly, and she deliberately didn't warn us. Cin Qingyue's gaze fell on me. She knows I warned her. She also knows how Zheng Manqiu led a group of parents in the parent group to scold me until I left the group that day. But the college entrance exam isn't over yet. And the teacher can't let the conflict escalate. Cin Qingyue only said, go back and rest first. We'll deal with it after the exams. To others, these words sounded as if I was also being implicated. Su Qingxiao laughed. Did you hear that? We'll deal with it after the exams. He walked past me, his shoulder slamming hard into mine. Shen Zhaoshuang steadied me, trembling with anger. Are they out of their minds? Back when they voted to disqualify you, weren't they all so full of bright ideas? Shouts from parents drifted up from downstairs. Cheng Xiao, over here. Zheng Manqiu squeezed her way to the front of the crowd. Wearing a sun hat and holding a bottle of ice water in her hand. Seeing her son's troubled expression, she immediately rushed over. What's wrong? Did you not do well on the exam? Su Qingxiao said nothing, simply tossing the pencil into her arms. The pencil rolled onto the floor. Its lead snapping in two. The surrounding parents all looked down. Zheng Manqiu's flustered expression lasted only a second. The next second, she suddenly looked up at me. Wenli, did you scare them in the exam room? The crowd fell silent. She pointed her finger at me in front of a group of parents. Auntie, you bought the pen. So what if I bought it? My relative has been selling stationery for over a decade and nothing like this has ever happened. Her voice rose, drowning out all the surrounding chatter. Why did it only happen in your class? Why are you, Wenli, the only one who's fine? A parent followed up by asking, yeah, why is she fine? Shen Zhaoshuang rushed in front of me. Because she didn't use your crappy pens. Zhang Manqiu immediately seized the opportunity. Listen, she admitted it, didn't she? When Li didn't use it herself, which means she knew there was a problem all along. The ice water bottle was crushed in Zhang Manqiu's hand with a cracking sound. Her eyes reddened. And she suddenly burst into tears. My son trained so hard in sports that he developed fluid in his knee. After all the struggle, he finally managed to get into an undergraduate program through academic courses. How can you kids who are good at studying have such venomous hearts? This outburst took place at the entrance of the exam center. Volunteers and traffic police all turned to look. By the time Sun Qingyue arrived, Zhang Manqiu had already shoved her phone in front of my face and started recording. Everyone. Take a look. This is the class monitor of No. 1 high school. An 18-year-old girl daring to treat exam supplies differently. The camera was very close to me, close enough to capture the sweat on my forehead. Sun Qingyue blocked the phone. Mother Su. Stop filming. Gathering at the exam site entrance is not allowed. Zhang Manqiu's cries grew louder. Of course, teacher, you're protecting her. Back then, it was you who told her to buy the stationery. With that one sentence, Sun Qingyue was also dragged into the mess. The parent next to her immediately exploded. Teacher Sun, what exactly is going on in your class? If my child really loses points because of a pencil, who's going to take responsibility? Didn't Wenli say she bought a set for 18 yuan? Is that set the one designated by the school? Sun Qingyue was surrounded in the middle, her lips pressed into a thin line. I took out my phone and opened a screenshot of a previous chat. After I sent the list to the group, I explained the brands, stores, and prices. And also posted photos of the test writing. As soon as the screen lit up, Zhang Manqiu slapped it away. The phone hit the ground, its screen cracking into a web of lines. Shen Zhaoshuang screamed. What are you doing? Zhang Manqiu pointed at me. The college entrance exam isn't over yet, and you're using your phone to provoke my son. Are you trying to ruin his afternoon science exam? Su Qingxiao stood behind her. His eyes flickering away for a moment before quickly hardening again. My wrist went numb from her slap. Sun Qingyue bent down to pick up my phone for me. Mrs. Su, since you damaged a student's property, I will report this to the police. Report it. Zhang Manqiu planted her hands on her hips. I'd like to see if the police come, whether they'll arrest me, an anxious mother, or investigate you for making an issue out of students' exam supplies. More and more onlookers gathered. The security guard at the exam center began to disperse the crowd. But in just a few minutes, Zhang Manqiu's video had already been sent to the parents' group. The title was quickly chosen. Stationary Incident in Class 7, Grade 12 of No. 1 High School. Class monitor used qualified pens alone. Over a dozen students had abnormal fill-in marks. The person who sent it was not Zhang Manqiu. It was another parent who had voted in favor. I watched as messages popped up one after another in the group chat. We must demand an explanation. A child's major life event is not the time for a little girl to throw a tantrum. Where are Wenli's parents? Come out and apologize. She didn't get to buy the 18 yuan stationery set. Is she deliberately retaliating? Sun Qingyue sent 3 consecutive messages in the group chat. Parents, please do not spread unverified information. Students are still taking exams. Please do not affect the examinees' emotions. The stationery procurement process has been fully documented. And a unified explanation will be provided after the exams. No one listened. Zhang Manqiu sent a 60-second voice message. She was crying so hard she could barely catch her breath. I only have one son. If he can't go to school because of this, I won't live either. Wenli, I know you're watching this. You must apologize to my son in front of all the parents in the class. That voice message was forwarded to the grade group. And then it was shared on the local parents' forum. In the afternoon, before the science comprehensive exam started, I sat in the lounge as my phone screen kept lighting up. An unfamiliar number kept calling in over and over. Text messages cursed me, "Young as you are, your heart is already twisted. People like you getting into college is just a disaster. Class monitor, huh? What a phony." Shen Zhaoshuang took my phone and turned it off directly. Her eyes were red. "Stop looking." Cin Qingyue handed me a glass of warm water. "Wenli, take the exam first." The cup pressed against my palm. But I felt cold. The broadcast began reminding examinees to enter the exam hall. Su Qingxiao passed by the doorway and paused for a moment. "My mom said you won't be able to get away after the exam." In the science comprehensive exam hall, my hands trembled for the first time. It's not that I can't solve the problems. It's that Zheng Manqiu's twisted, tear-streaked face keeps flashing across my scratch paper. She blames me for everything. And those parents who once followed her vote, as if suddenly struck with amnesia, started asking me why I didn't insist. When I reached the 7th multiple-choice question, the proctor walked over to my desk. "Candidate, stay calm." I looked up and only then noticed that my pencil had left a faint mark on the edge of the answer sheet. Cold sweat broke out instantly. That mark wasn't in the answer area. But it was enough to sober me up. I took a deep breath and continued working on the test. After the last exam, the bell rang, and the entire teaching building felt as if it had been drained. Some cheered. Some cried. I had just walked out of the exam hall when two parents blocked the stairway. "Are you Wenli?" One of the women held up her phone, the screen displaying a photo of me. I had never seen her before. She acted as if she had known me for a long time. My daughter used exactly those pens. She filled in the English multiple-choice answers 3 times. Do you know how much her hands were shaking? Another man's face turned ashen. "You're the class monitor. You knew there was a problem. Why didn't you stop it?" Shen Zhaoshuang stood in front of me. "Are you being unreasonable? It was you who revoked her purchasing qualification, and it was also you who bought the cheap pens." The man let out a cold laugh. "Sharp-tongued little girl. If there's really a problem with the scores, will you compensate for her?" At that moment, Zheng Manqiu arrived. She had changed into a black dress, as if she had prepared in advance to attend a trial. Behind her followed 7 or 8 parents. Su Qingxiao was pushed to the front by her. The tall boy lowered his head, his fingers gripping the admission ticket tightly, knuckles turning white. Zheng Manqiu's tears came as soon as she saw me. "Wenli, Auntie won't make things difficult for you." She set up her phone, her voice eerily gentle. "Just say this one thing here. You didn't remind everyone in time, you let Qingxiao down. You let these classmates down." I looked at her. "I won't say it." The gentleness on her face instantly cracked. "Say that again. I warned you, and I have no obligation to bear the consequences of your choices." As soon as these words fell, a male parent stepped forward half a step. Shen Zhaoshuang was so frightened that she grabbed my wrist. Cin Qingyue rushed over and said sternly, "What are you trying to do?" Zheng Manqiu turned around and plopped down onto the ground. She slapped her thighs and wailed. "The teacher is protecting the students and bullying people. My child's college entrance exam is ruined, and they still say we deserve it." All the surrounding students and parents crowded around. A dense forest of phone cameras was raised. Cin Qingyue's face turned pale with anger. "Security, please call the exam site security over." Zheng Manqiu suddenly lunged at me, grabbing my backpack strap. "If you don't apologize today, you're not leaving." The strap dug into my shoulder as she yanked me, making me stumble. In the struggle, the zipper burst open. The file folder inside fell out. That was my record of stationery purchases. Invoices. Test writing paper, screenshots of authorized brand stores, printed copies of parent group chats all scattered on the floor. Zheng Manqiu looked down and saw it. Pausing for a moment. Then she stomped down hard. The heel ground over the chat screenshots. You came pretty well prepared. She leaned close to my ear, her voice so low that only I could hear. Little girl. You're too inexperienced to compete with me. Sun Qingyue reached out to pull her. But Zheng Manqiu suddenly let go of me and fell backward. She landed flat on the ground. She clutched her chest and screamed, Wenli pushed me. At that moment, all the cameras turned to me. Someone in the crowd cursed, too much, you dare to lay a hand, just because the college entrance exam is over, you think you can do whatever you want. How did this kid's parents raise him? Su Qingxiao rushed over to help Zheng Manqiu. And when he looked up, his eyes were as if he wanted to devour someone. Wenli, don't go too far. I stood still. My shoulders still aching from the straps of my school bag. Sun Qingyue stood in front of me. I saw it. Wenli didn't push anyone. Zheng Manqiu cried even harder. Of course you're speaking for her, you're all in cahoots. The security guard at the exam site pushed through the crowd. Stop arguing. There's surveillance at the door. If there's a problem, call the police. Upon hearing the word surveillance, Zheng Manqiu's crying paused for a moment. But she quickly wailed again. Call the police if you want. Do you think I'm afraid of you? The police arrived quickly. Because it involved the order of the exam site. No one dared to block the door anymore. Zheng Manqiu sat on the chair in the police station, her face flushed red from crying. I just wanted an apology, and she pushed me. The officer looked at me. Go ahead. I handed over the cracked phone screen. She hit me first, damaged my phone. Then pulled my backpack and my documents were stepped on by her. The surveillance footage can be reviewed. Zheng Manqiu immediately interjected, I was just anxious, my son had an issue with his college entrance exam. Is it a crime to be anxious? The police officer tapped the table. Let her finish. I picked up the paper materials one by one and spread them out on the table. The shoe print lay across the line of text that read. It is not recommended to purchase stationery without quality inspection. Zheng Manqiu glanced at it and let out a cold laugh. What's the use of bringing these out now, if you were truly responsible? You should have gone door to notify everyone back then. Sun Qingyue could no longer hold back. Mother Su, Wenli is not a teacher, she is just a student. After you voted to revoke her purchasing qualifications, the stationery was purchased under your lead. And the payments were also collected by you. The police officer looked up. You collected the payments? Zheng Manqiu's face changed color. Everyone voluntarily transferred it to me. I was just helping. Do you have the payment records? She began to wipe away her tears. My phone's dead. Su Qingxiao reminded her in a low voice, Mom, your phone was just recording. Zheng Manqiu shot him a fierce glare. The police office fell silent for 2 seconds. The officer asked her to unlock her phone. When the payment group's transaction records were pulled up, I realized she hadn't just been charging 5 yuan. 7 yuan and 50 cents per set. The note says college entrance exam stationery kit. 46 sets in total. The police officer asked, Didn't you say it was 5 yuan per set? Zheng Manqiu immediately said. There are also shipping fees, bag fees, and labor fees, just a few dollars. What could I possibly be greedy for? Sun Qingyue asked coldly, Where's the quality inspection certificate? My relatives sold it to me. Would a close acquaintance cheat me? Where's the purchase receipt? I'll find it later. What about the brand authorization? Zheng Manqiu slammed the table. Does 18 yuan necessarily mean it's good? Does 5 yuan necessarily mean it's bad? Don't scare ordinary parents with this nonsense. The police officer noted down the details from both sides and told them to go home and wait for the surveillance footage and further processing. Before leaving, Zheng Manqiu stood up from her chair. She stopped crying. She stared at me, her gaze icy cold. Wenli, if you're capable, make sure no one's scores are affected. Outside the door, the sky had already turned pitch black. As soon as I opened my phone, hundreds of messages flooded in. The latest message is from an unknown number. Your dad works as a pharmacist at the city hospital, right? Pretty decent job. Does he know his daughter is doing this kind of thing? The next second, a photo was sent. My dad, in his white coat, standing at the hospital pharmacy window. The person taking the photo was right across from him. His fingertips froze on the screen. Shen Xiaoshuang's face changed the moment she saw the photo. Is she crazy, causing trouble at your dad's workplace? The phone rang right after. The screen flashed Dad. When I picked up, the pharmacy was very noisy. My father's voice was very low. Lily, did you have a conflict with a classmate's parent? My throat felt like it was blocked. Dad. It wasn't my fault. There was a 2-second silence on the other end. I know. Someone just came to the window and took a picture of me, asking how I teach my daughter. And said they were going to complain to the hospital. From behind came the sound of a colleague asking. My dad quickly said, go home first. Don't walk alone. After the call ended, Cin Qingyue's face turned completely cold. This is no longer just a parental dispute. She accompanied me to the police station to provide additional clarification. After hearing the explanation, the police officer immediately called Zheng Manqiu to warn her to stop harassing others at their workplace. Zheng Manqiu shouted so loudly on the phone that everyone could hear. What's wrong with just asking? She harmed my son, and I can't even talk to her father. The police officer's tone was stern. If you cause trouble at the hospital again, you'll be dealt with for disrupting public order. She finally hung up. But the matter didn't stop. The next morning, a long post appeared on the local forum. The title was, The 18-year-old class leader manipulated the college entrance exam stationery, and a student from a humble background suspected of losing points due to abnormal filling. The post described me as the teacher's right-hand man, claiming I took kickbacks from purchasing stationery and after failing held a grudge, hiding the risks of the low-quality pens from classmates. The accompanying image was a screenshot of my face from Zheng Manqiu's secretly recorded video. The comments section was flooded with insults. Kids these days are truly vicious. Daring to cause trouble during the college entrance exam. Suggest revoking their admission qualification. Investigate their parents. A pharmacist's family? Got it, they'll definitely find a loophole. Under my dad's work unit's official account, abusive comments also appeared. When Mom brought out breakfast, her hands were trembling. She's an elementary school teacher, and her whole life, she's been most afraid of causing trouble for others. Lily, what did the school say? Before I could answer, the doorbell rang. I opened the door to find 3 parents standing in the hallway. One of them was Shen Xiaoshuang's mother, Aunt Zhu. She was holding a bag of fruit in her hand, her eyes red-rimmed. Lily. Auntie isn't here to blame you. But the 2 parents behind were not so polite. A man immediately asked, can you send us the evidence you have? I thought he finally wanted to get to the bottom of it. The next moment, he said, we want to prove that you did give a warning. So the responsibility would mainly fall on Su Chengxiao's mother. Aunt Zhu was stunned. What do you mean by primary? The man frowned. Someone has to take responsibility. If the child's grades are affected, are we all just supposed to accept the bad luck together? Another woman stared at me. Wenli, since you knew that the 5 yuan set was no good from the start, you should have gone directly to the school instead of just saying a few words in the group chat. You were also negligent. Mom's face turned pale. I held the door steady. Auntie, I called Teachertson that day. And Teachertson also reminded everyone in the group that the school cannot force parents to purchase designated stationery. The woman said sharply, then why don't you message each classmate privately? Aunt Ju was furious. You don't take care of your own children. Yet you expect someone else's child to message them privately, the man said impatiently, arguing about this now is useless. Wenli, first write a statement explaining the situation, including everything you know. Be careful with your wording, don't make absolute statements. And leave room for everyone. I looked at the paper he handed me. A paragraph was already printed on it. I, Wenli, as the class monitor of Class 7, Grade 12. Failed to provide adequate reminders and handled the exam stationery communication immaturely. I deeply apologize for the impact this had on some classmates' exams. The edge of the paper was smoothed flat by his fingers. Like a list of charges long prepared for me. I didn't answer. The N's face immediately darkened. Are you unwilling to take any responsibility? Mom stepped in front of me. My daughter did nothing wrong, so why should she admit fault? The woman let out a cold laugh. No wonder the child is so tough, it's how they were raised at home. At the end of the corridor, the elevator doors opened with a ding. Zheng Manqiu walked out holding her phone. Everyone's here. Perfect timing. Behind her followed a strange man holding a stack of papers. Wenli. This is the joint complaint letter we drafted. That complaint letter was even harsher than the forum post. The first demand was for the school to publicly investigate whether there was any conflict of interest between Sun Qingyue and me regarding stationery procurement. Second, it demands that I publicly apologize to the affected students. Third, it requires my family to bear the costs of subsequent verification, psychological counseling, and losses related to college application filing. Fourth, it suggests that universities pay attention to my moral character during admissions. After reading the last clause, my mother was trembling with rage. Why are you writing this? Zheng Manqiu pushed her sunglasses up to the top of her head. Because my son might lose his chance to go to college because of her. Aunt Ju snatched the complaint letter away. Zheng Manqiu, do you still have any shame? You're the one who bought the pen. Zheng Manqiu immediately turned to her. Aunt Zhaoshuang, your daughter is also having problems. Instead of seeking justice for her, you're speaking up for Wenli. Aunt Ju's eyes turned red. My daughter cried all night yesterday, but I know who to blame. This sentence silenced the hallway for a moment. Zheng Manqiu's face turned ugly. She quickly sneered, your family's Zhaoshuang has good grades, so even if she's a few points short, she can still get into school. What about my son? The cultural score line for sports students is so tight, of course you can talk so glibly without feeling the pain. Su Qingxiao, who had been silent all along, stood behind her and said in a low voice, Mom. Stop making a scene. Zheng Manqiu suddenly turned around. Shut up, she pointed at her own son in front of everyone. If you were more ambitious, would I have to seek justice for you? Su Qingxiao's face flushed red, then gradually turned pale. At that moment, I suddenly felt he was pitiful too. Pity cannot erase every word he said when he bumped into me at the exam center and slandered me. The stranger slapped the complaint letter against the door. If you don't sign today, we'll go to the Education Bureau. My dad came up from the stairwell. He must have taken leave from the hospital, not even having time to change out of his white coat, only throwing on an outer jacket. Seeing the scene at the door, he first shielded me and my mother behind him. Who told you to come to my house? Zheng Manqiu looked him up and down. Oh, pharmacist one is back. Do you know what your daughter has done? My dad took out his phone. I've already called the police. Her expression froze. We're just exercising our legal rights. Who are you trying to scare by calling the police? My father's voice wasn't loud, but it was cold. Take legitimate action, go to the school, the education bureau. Or the court. Blocking my door, taking photos of me at work and cyberbullying my daughter, that's not seeking justice. Zheng Manqiu was about to speak when footsteps came from downstairs. When the police officers saw us for the second time, their expressions were already very serious. Didn't I just warn you yesterday, and you're back again today? Zheng Manqiu immediately pointed at the complaint letter. We only asked her to sign a statement of the situation. The police officer picked it up and glanced at it, his frown deepening with each line. Are you aware of the consequences when it comes to minors' personal information and college admission advice? The unfamiliar man adjusted his glasses. I'm a parent representative and my wording might be a bit intense. The police officer asked, your child is also in class 7, grade 12. The man was at a loss for words. Zheng Manqiu cut in, he's my younger brother, helping me with some paperwork. The police officer stared at her. Does your brother have a legal practicing qualification? No one spoke. The police car took them away for questioning. The hallway finally fell silent. Aunt Ju crouched down, picking up the scattered complaint letters one by one, tears falling onto the paper. Lily, I'm sorry. That day, I also clicked agree. She raised her hand and slapped herself. How could I have believed her lies? The crisp sound of the slap had barely faded when the elevator doors opened again. Sun Qingyue stood at the entrance holding a sealed bag in her hand. Wenli. The test results are out. 2 pencils were sealed in a plastic bag. One was the brand 2B I originally ordered. The other was the exam-specific pencil that Zheng Manqiu bought. Sun Qingyue spread the report out on the dining table. The testing institution is the Municipal Stationery Quality Y Supervision Station, and the school submitted the samples for urgent testing on a temporary basis. The conclusion is clearly stated. For Zheng Manqiu's batch of pencils, the graphite concentration is below the 2B standard, the labeling is non-compliant. No valid production batch number was detected, and the outer packaging is suspected of imitating a well-known brand's exam set. There are also issues with the pens. Inconsistent ink flow, high probability of ink interruption in low temperatures. Auntie finished reading, covered her mouth, and burst into tears. My daughter's pen actually broke twice while she was writing her essay at the end. Sun Qingyue's face looked very tired. The school has submitted a situation report to the District Education Bureau and will also assist affected students in applying for answer sheet evaluation. Anomalies in machine recognition of objective questions do not equate to a final score of 0. The Provincial Admissions Office has a manual review process. The man's previous words hung over the room like a shadow. The children won't all be ruined. But the risk has already occurred. Some card surfaces have indentations from repeated filling and erasing, making it difficult even for humans to fully confirm the original intent. What Zheng Manqiu destroyed was not just a pen. It was the peace of mind of over a dozen families in the final moments of the college entrance exam. I asked, can this report be made public? Sun Qingyue shook his head. The school will release it through official channels. But since it involves the college entrance exam, it needs to be reviewed by the Education Bureau first. Aunt Ju grew anxious. Everyone online is cursing Lily right now, what do we do? Sun Qingyue looked at me. First, report it to the police to preserve the evidence. And wait for the official announcement. I understand the logic. When a person is being scolded, every second feels like an eternity. That night, after Zheng Manqiu came out of the police station, she started a live stream. She sat in the car, her eyes swollen, her voice hoarse. They said I bought inferior pens, and I admit it. I'm just an ordinary mom, trying to save a few bucks. I was wrong. Someone in the comments just said she finally admitted it, but then she changed the subject. But what about Wenli? She knew cheap goods came with risks. So why didn't she firmly stop it? Why did she prepare such complete evidence herself? This shows she was waiting for us to get into trouble all along. The number of viewers in the live stream quickly increased. She cried as she took out a piece of paper. These are my son's usual grades, always been right at the passing line for academic subjects. For the English multiple choice questions on the college entrance exam. He didn't have time to check at least a dozen because filling in the answer sheet took too long. Su Chengxiao sat in the passenger seat, his head bowed low. Zheng Manqiu turned the camera away. Chengxiao, tell everyone. Didn't Wenli say before the exam that a 5-yuan pen definitely wouldn't work? Su Chengxiao's lips moved slightly. She said not to buy products without quality inspection. Zheng Manqiu's face changed color. The barrage immediately started scrolling. Wasn't that a reminder? Mom just didn't listen, right? She quickly turned the camera back. He's too scared to speak clearly now. What I mean is, since Wenli knew, why didn't she tell my relatives that batch was problematic? Does she look down on ordinary families like ours? This set of rhetoric is very effective. She transformed herself from the person responsible into a poor mother trying to get a bargain. She turned me from someone disqualified into a cold-blooded class monitor who stayed sober and watched from the sidelines. After the live stream ended, a new trending topic appeared on the local hot list. College entrance exam stationery incident. Does a reminder equal fulfilling responsibility? In the comments, some people began to blame both sides equally. Of course the mother is at fault. But the class monitor is not innocent either. Adults have their responsibilities, and children should also have empathy. If I were Wenli, I would just give each classmate a nice set of pens. I stared at that sentence for a long time. Mom took the phone away. Don't look. Someone outside the window called my name. I walked out onto the balcony. A few cars were parked downstairs. Zheng Manqiu stood at the entrance of the residential complex, raising a megaphone toward the camera. Wenli, come out. The banner behind her was pulled open by two people. It reads, "Give my son back a fair college entrance exam." The security guards couldn't stop the agitated parents. The entrance of the residential area was soon crowded with people. There were truly affected parents, as well as nearby residents who had come to watch the commotion. Zheng Manqiu held a loudspeaker, her voice growing sharper with each word. Wenli, do you dare to do it but not own up to it? You're hiding at home. What about my son? My son has been training since he was a child. And he never cried even when his ankle was numbed with a block. Today, you've made him lose his appetite. Su Chengxiao stood next to the banner, his face pale with embarrassment. He reached out several times to pull Zheng Manqiu, but she shook him off each time. My dad was about to go downstairs. His mother held on to him tightly. Don't go, they're just waiting to take a picture. The property manager, along with the security guards, tried to persuade them to leave. Zheng Manqiu sat down directly on the ground. Can't we speak now? Money and connections can shut ordinary people up. Someone was stirring up trouble downstairs. Little girl, come out and explain clearly. What are you hiding from? Her mother hasn't had it easy either. My chest tightened with pain as I turned and picked up the document folder. Mom grabbed hold of me. Lily, don't go. I looked at her reddened eyes. Mom. I'm not going. They'll keep making a scene. The door had just opened when Sun Qingyue called. Don't come downstairs. Her voice was urgent. The Education Bureau is organizing a briefing at 9 a.m. tomorrow. School representatives, parent representatives, and the testing agency will all be there. If you go down now, you'll just end up in a clipped video. I stopped in the hallway. The loudspeaker downstairs was still blaring. Zheng Manqiu began reciting the first few digits of my ID number and my school class. The property manager rushed over to grab the megaphone. And she immediately screamed. In the chaos, Su Qingxiao finally exploded. "Mom, that's enough," the sound of the horn stopped. A brief silence came from downstairs. Su Qingxiao's voice rose up, cracking with emotion. "You bought the pen," Wenli reminded everyone in the group. "Teacher Tsun also reminded you. Why do you have to force her to admit it?" Zheng Manqiu felt as if she had been slapped. She froze for 2 seconds, then suddenly rushed at him to hit him. "Who am I doing this for? Who am I doing this for?" Her slaps landed on Su Qingxiao's shoulders and back. He didn't dodge, he just stood there. More phone cameras appeared around him. The video quickly spread online. For the first time, public opinion began to shift. Even my son said he warned her. "Isn't this mom a bit scary? She bought cheap pens and cyberbullied her classmates." Zheng Manqiu noticed the tide turning and deleted the live stream replay overnight. It can't be completely deleted. Aunt Zhu posted the full chat history of the parent group. From Sun Qingyue asking me to count the number of voluntary buyers, to me sending the list prices and sample writing images. Then to Zheng Manqiu's words, "At 18, you already dare to make money from writing what will you be like in the future?" Then came a screenshot of the vote. Whether to revoke Wenli's qualification to order stationery. Number of votes in favor: 32. Number of oppositions: 4. Abstentions: 10. Below is my final reminder: pencils without a production batch number or implementation standard are not recommended for formal exams. The scanning of college entrance exam answer sheets has specific requirements for fill-in density. So please be cautious. Zheng Manqiu replied, "Don't try to scare me. If you fail the exam, don't blame the pen." This sentence was screenshotted by netizens. At 8:30 the next morning, I rushed to the education bureau with my parents. The doorway of the meeting room was crowded with parents. Zheng Manqiu was also there. She had stopped crying, her face heavily powdered, and her lips were a bright red. When she saw me, she forced a smile. "Wenli, do you think a few screenshots can clear your name?" I didn't say anything. The conference room door opened. A staff member called out names from a list. Wenli, Sun Qingyue, Zheng Manqiu, Su Qingxiao, and representatives of the affected students' parents, please come in. When Zheng Manqiu passed by me, she said in a voice only we could hear, "Don't forget. The scores haven't come out yet." Sitting in the meeting room were staff from the Education Bureau, school leaders, the head of the testing agency, and a liaison teacher sent by the Provincial Admissions Office. Several documents were laid out on the table. Zheng Manqiu started crying as soon as she entered. "Sir, I'm not educated. And I don't understand quality control. All I know is that my son's college entrance exam was affected." The staff member gestured for her to sit down. "Today is for fact-checking, not for emotional expression." The first thing played was a recording of a parent group chat projected onto the screen. The timestamps, speakers, recalled messages, and voting results were all exported. My reminder was frozen in the center of the screen. Zheng Manqiu's face grew paler and paler. She immediately said, her reminder wasn't clear enough, she didn't say something would definitely go wrong. The head of the testing institution looked up. Any qualified suggestion can only be based on risk warnings. No one can assert before use that a certain batch will definitely fail to scan. The precautions proposed by classmate Wenli are in line with common sense. The second document is A.S. Stationery Inspection Report. The person in charge explained each item one by one. The graphite concentration of the submitted sample does not meet the 2B standard, the executive standard marked on the pen barrel has been abolished. And the manufacturer indicated on the outer packaging does not exist. The parents section erupted in an uproar. Someone immediately confronted Zheng Manqiu. "Didn't you say your relatives were wholesaling genuine products?" Zheng Manqiu forced herself to hold on. I was deceived too. The staff asked, "Who is the supplier?" She hesitated. "My cousin's husband. Contact information, store address, and purchase receipts." She hemmed and hawed for a long time, unable to produce them. Su Qingxiao suddenly looked up. "He's not my brother-in-law." Zheng Manqiu suddenly turned to him. "What nonsense are you talking about?" Su Qingxiao's voice was low, yet clear. "Those stationery items were bought by my mom on the spot from the small commodity market. She said we should say that first so the parents would believe it." The meeting room was terrifyingly quiet. Zheng Manqiu stood up and reached out to cover his mouth. "Shut up, are you blaming me just because you did poorly on the exam?" The staff immediately intervened. "Let him speak." Su Qingxiao's eyes reddened. "That day she came home and asked me to help with the packaging. I saw the boxes marked as promotional clearance. 2.8 yuan per set. She charged everyone 7.5 yuan. All the parents erupted. "Zheng Manqiu, didn't you say it was 5 yuan? You're saving money on our kids' college entrance exams and still making a profit off the difference." Zheng Manqiu under siege. Finally panicked. "I only earned $2 for my hard work, so what? Do you think I run errands for free? Besides, who knew the pen actually had a problem?" Aunt Zhu slammed the table and stood up. "When Li charges $18 and you call her a money grabber. You bought it for $280 and charged $750, calling it a service fee." Zheng Manqiu's face turned the color of pig liver. "I didn't force you to buy. You were the ones trying to get a bargain." As soon as these words were spoken, the meeting room completely fell into chaos. The parents who had originally wanted to hold her accountable were all stung by her remark about trying to get a bargain. A male parent rushed forward but was stopped by the staff. "My daughter came out of the English exam crying until she was CONV. Ulsing, and you're telling me I was being cheap?" Zheng Manqiu stopped pretending. "Then go find Wen Li. She's good at studying, she knows how to check. Why didn't she cover for you all?" All eyes turned back to me. The staff member looked at me. "Wen Li, do you have anything to add?" I opened the file folder I had been carrying. Inside, besides the printed documents, there was also a small transparent sealed bag. Inside the sealed bag were 2 cut-out side labels from pencil packaging. These were shown to me by Shen Zhaoshuang the day before the college entrance exam. Auntie Zhu was stunned. I continued, "At that time, she felt the color of the pen barrel was off and came to ask me. I noticed the packaging had no production batch number, so I took a photo and sent it to her, telling her to exchange the pen. Later, I posted the photo in the parents group. And Aunt Zhang said I was spreading rumors and told me to delete it." The screen switched to another screenshot. "Zheng Manqiu, Wen Li, if you keep making alarming statements, I'll go to the school and report you for creating anxiety before the exams. Don't believe her. This kid is full of tricks. Whoever keeps spreading rumors about the pen being faulty and affecting my son's exam performance, I won't let it go." Sun Qingyue added, "I also emphasized in the group chat that day that all students could choose their own qualified exam supplies. And the school would not force uniformity." Zheng Manqiu's parent then kept spamming the chat, causing the reminder to be buried. No one spoke in the meeting room. Su Qingxiao suddenly stood up. He looked at me, his lips trembling for a long time. "Wen Li, I'm sorry." Zheng Manqiu screamed, "What are you apologizing to her for?" Su Qingxiao turned to look at her. "Because you were wrong." Zheng Manqiu raised her hand to hit him again. This time, Su Qingxiao caught her wrist. He was much taller than her, and his arm, hardened by years of training, was taut. "Mom, stop making a scene." Zheng Manqiu froze, then cried as if betrayed by the whole world. "I've done this much for you, and you side with an outsider?" Su Qingxiao released her, his voice hoarse beyond recognition. "You're not doing this for me. You're afraid to admit you're wrong. This sentence is harsher than any test report. Zheng Manqiu slumped back into her chair. The staff member tapped on the desk. Based on the current materials, the school and student Wenli have fulfilled their reasonable duty to remind, and there is no issue of so-called manipulating stationery or deliberately concealing risks. When these words were spoken, my mother covered her mouth beside me. My father held her shoulder. The veins on the back of his hand clearly visible. The staff member continued, Zheng Manqiu's parents sold problematic stationery without proper qualifications, affecting the exam psychology and answering process of multiple candidates. The matter will be investigated by the market regulatory authorities in accordance with the law. As for the acts of posting false information online, leaking minors' personal information, and harassing others at their workplaces, the public security authorities have already intervened. Zheng Manqiu suddenly looked up. I'm just a parent, I'm not a business owner. The conference room door was pushed open. 2 market regulation officers walked in. One of them placed the forensic photos on the table. By collecting payments in the parent group, organizing purchases, and repackaging for sale, you have already engaged in business activities. The stall owner at the small commodity market has also been found, confirming that when you made the purchase, they explicitly stated it was a clearance item and not recommended for exams. The color drained from Zheng Manqiu's face instantly. He's lying. The staff member played a recording. The stall owner's hoarse voice echoed in the meeting room. I told that woman, this batch is low-priced goods with misprinted packaging. It's fine for everyday writing and doodling, but don't use it for exams. She said it's okay. Just a high school senior buying some psychological comfort, as long as it can write. The parents section erupted in a chorus of curses. Aunt Zhu was trembling with rage. Zheng Manqiu, did you hear that? Everyone says don't use it for the exam. Zheng Manqiu was completely panicked. She rushed over to pull Su Qingxiao. Qingxiao, Mom didn't know, Mom really didn't know. Su Qingxiao took a step back. That step was light, yet it felt like tearing away her last shred of dignity. Watching this scene, I felt none of the satisfaction I had imagined. Only exhaustion. She destroyed others' trust and also pushed her own son in front of everyone. Before the briefing ended, the provincial admissions office liaison teacher explained the review process. All answer sheets will undergo machine recognition and manual review. Marks that are too light will be flagged but will not simply be treated as blank. If there are clear traces of answers, the manual review will try to identify them. Questions with damaged sheets or multiple option marks that cannot be determined will be handled according to exam rules. These words made many parents breathe a sigh of relief. And also brought a few to tears on the spot. Because doing one's best to identify is not the same as recovering everything. When Zheng Manqiu was taken in for investigation, she suddenly broke free from the staff and rushed in front of me. She was no longer arrogant. Her hair was disheveled and her makeup was smudged. Wenli, I'll apologize to you, okay? Please help me talk to everyone and tell them not to sue me. I took a step back. She reached out to grab me. But my father stopped her. Don't touch my daughter. Zheng Manqiu looked at me with tears in her eyes. Qingxiao can't have a mother who gets punished. What will he do in the future? I turned to look at Su Qingxiao. He stood at the door, his eyes red. But he no longer spoke up for her. Outside the meeting room, the corridor window was open. The wind stirred the voting screenshot on the table. 32 agree votes lined up neatly together. The official announcement was released on the 3rd day. The wording is brief, yet clear enough. In the exam stationery dispute involving Class 7, Grade 12. Student Wenli and homeroom teacher Chen Qingyue repeatedly reminded parents to choose exam stationery that meets the standards. The problematic stationery, procured through a self-organized purchase by parent Zheng, was found upon testing to not meet the relevant requirements for 2B pencils. and also involved false advertising and a lack of valid production information. Public security authorities have handled Zheng's actions, including the dissemination of false information, violation of minors' privacy, and disruption of public order in accordance with the law. The market regulatory authorities have filed a case against its unlicensed operations and sales of substandard products. After the announcement, the public sentiment completely shifted. Accounts that once criticized me began deleting their comments. Some people apologized. Some people also played dead. The most ridiculous thing was that the person who wrote, "If I were Wenli, I would give each classmate a nice set of pens," posted another message, "She should have said so earlier." Shen Zhaoshuang sent me the screenshot. "People like that really deserve it." I replied with an emoji. The day the scores came out, the air was stiflingly hot. My parents sat beside me, even more nervous than I was. The page refreshed 3 times and the score appeared. 678. Tears suddenly streamed down Mom's face. My dad stood up abruptly, bumped into the chair, then smiled and straightened it. Okay. The phone rang quickly. Chen Qingyue's voice was choked with sobs. "Wenli, congratulations." I asked about the situation in the class. Most students performed as expected. Among the dozen or so affected students, 8 had scores that were not far off from their estimated scores after reevaluation. 3 students lost a few to over 10 points on the multiple-choice section due to severe erasure marks on their answer sheets. Shen Zhaoshuang was 6 points short, but her total score was still enough for the normal university she wanted to attend. Su Qingxiao was 11 points short. His athletic performance was excellent, but his cultural course score was 2 points below the admission threshold of his target school. After learning the results, Zheng Manqiu cried again at the entrance of the Education Bureau. This time, no one held her phone for her, because several parents had already jointly sued her, demanding compensation for testing fees, reasonable expenses related to emotional distress, and direct losses caused by the problematic stationery. Although the loss of college entrance exam scores is difficult to fully quantify, she cannot escape liability for selling substandard exam stationery, false advertising, and online bullying infringement. When Su Qingxiao came to find me, it was the last day for filling out college application preferences. He stood downstairs from my home, holding a bag in his hand. My dad came downstairs with me. When he saw my dad, he first bowed. "Uncle, I'm sorry." Then he looked at me. "Wenli, I'm sorry." Inside the bag was a new phone. It was the same model, not too expensive, but he bought it with money advanced from his summer job. "My mom broke your phone, I'll pay for it first. As for the rest, we'll wait for the court's decision." I didn't answer. "Your mom's matter, let her pay for it herself." Su Qingxiao lowered his head. "Part of her account has been frozen now. And my dad has also fallen out with her over it. She asked me to come and beg you to write a letter of forgiveness, but that's not why I'm here." He took a piece of paper out of his backpack. It was a handwritten apology letter. The handwriting wasn't particularly neat, but every sentence was straightforward. "On the day of the exam, I vented my fear and anger on you. I know you warned me, but I didn't dare blame my mom, nor admit that I had listened to her. I'm sorry." He handed over the letter. "Just take this. If you won't accept the phone, I'll convert it into money and send it to Teacher Tsen, asking her to pass it on." I took the letter of apology. I neither forgave him nor stabbed him again. Su Qingxiao turned to leave, but after a few steps, he stopped. "I applied for a social sports guidance program at a second-tier university in the province. I can get in." He twitched the corner of his mouth. "It's not my top choice, but at least I'm not left without a school to go to." This is probably the most realistic ending to the whole thing. Not all harm can be fully undone. Nor can every apology earn a simple "it's okay." The end.